Someone You Should Know. A program about people you know and even more that you don't. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, veteran, husband, father, and grandfather. Now, here's your host, Stuart Sachs.
Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of Someone You Should Know. And as always, brought to you by our two great friends, Christine Dean, who is the DFWNetworkingDiva.com. Christine can help you with your marketing. If you already have a website, but you want to take it to the next level, she can help you. Want to take your marketing to the next level, she can help you. And she can do it for free. All you got to do is go to the website, DFWNetworkingDiva.com, and you can sign up for a free consultation and just ask her questions. If she can help, fine. If she can't, thank you. You hang up. Or you can do the same thing with Irving Chung, who is a franchise consultant. And Irving is in the franchise business. He connects people with franchises that can help them make money, either on a full-time basis or a part-time basis. And all. Give Irving a call. You can go to his website, bigconsideration.com. Give him a call, mention someone you should know, and he will give you a free consultation also. What could be better? So, welcome again to the show. And with me today is Christine Walker, who is the publisher and head writer and take care of everything over at Ease Magazine. Good morning. Welcome, Christine.
Good morning. How are you?
I am so pleased to have you because, as always, we love to feature people that are working with our veterans on this program. And we've had a lot of them, and we will continue to have a lot of them because it's an important thing that we don't just forget our military community when they get their separation papers, they go off and they do something. Sometimes it's something they always wanted to do, sometimes it's something they just have to do in order to put food on the table. But they all have stories. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they go to the DFW, the VFW or the American Legion, and they sit and talk to other, vets about their stories. But what you have done is tried to put a lasso around all of them and said, you got a story. I want to hear your story. And then I'm going to put it into print to share. And I want to say right from the start of the show, this is not a magazine just for veterans. This is a magazine about veterans or telling their stories, but it's for the general public. So this, and the amazing thing about this is, have you celebrated your first anniversary yet?
No. Well, yes. Devil Dog Publishing is now 1 year old. We've been, we're working in the background for probably 8 to 9 months. And then our first inaugural issue of At Ease Veterans Magazine came out in March of this year, of 2021.
It's incredible. And it's exploding. It really is.
Because it really is.
The people that are reading it are sharing it with other people. The subscription prices are insanely low. I mean, it's anywhere from $15 a year to $25 a year.
Actually, we changed that. Our digital subscription is now $8 a year annually.
What? You dropped it?
Yep.
From $15 to $8?
$8 for our digital, and you create a digital membership on our portal, and it's $8 a year. And then our subscription, our print subscription, which is really what we concentrate on, that is only $25 a year.
$25 a year. And that's for four editions, which I think is great because it means that it's not a magazine that comes out every monthly and you got to hurry up and get through 1 month in order to get to the next one. This is right. This is a magazine that in my mind is more like a coffee table magazine.
Yes, exactly.
You get it and bring and read, read an article when you want to, but
pick it up, put it down. That's exactly what it was created to do.
I have to tell you, I want folks to be able to go to the website, which we'll put up on the screen because you've got two of them. There's Devil Doc Publishing. devildog.com. And then there's also the phone number, which is on the screen right now. Go to the website and look and see. You'll get an idea of what some of the articles are about. And I guarantee you it's a great read. And it's a good, not only a magazine that you should order and have in your home, but if you have a veteran in your family,
Yes.
what a great idea to get them a gift subscription to this magazine. And every 3 months, they're going to get the next edition of it, and they can sit and read articles about some of their brothers and sisters from the military. All right, so I got to kick off the show right off the bat, because Devil Doc Publishing. Where did we come up with its name? Because that's a great story in itself.
Yeah. So I'm Navy veteran. I was a corpsman. I was stationed at Camp Lejeune. And, there's a little phrase going around, you have the devil dogs, which are Marines, coined by the Germans during World War I. But devil dogs are kind of the corpsmen that are attached to the Marine Corps units. And now, while I did not serve Fleet Marine Force or FMF 8404, I was stationed at the Naval Hospital at Camp Lejeune. So, as a wink and a nod to my fellow corpsmen who did serve 8404, I named my company Devil Doc Publishing.
What is 8404 and FMF?
FMF is Fleet Marine Force. 8404 is the designation of that billet. So that's where that comes from.
So, I mean, and I think that you were serving when just around about the Desert Storm era?
Yes, I was actually in boot camp when I went into boot camp during Desert Shield. And the day before my 19th birthday, January 17th, 1991, Desert Storm started. So I was in boot camp during Desert Storm. They cut a week off our boot camp, cut a week off my A school, and they wanted us boots on the ground. So.
And what was that like? That tour at Camp Lejeune, you're working with I am assuming that you're working with our military personnel that are going and coming.
Right. Well, when I got there, Desert Storm was wrapping up. So most of the guys coming back most of them were coming back. It was interesting because, one, I chose Lejeune because my brother was a helo mechanic at New River. So I got sibling duty, which was pretty rare. But I got sibling duty, and then I was stationed at the NAVHOS, Naval Hospital, on the main base of Lejeune. And when I was stationed there, I worked in internal medicine. And so we had guys coming back from, Iraq and Desert Storm with ailments that we didn't know how to treat. Doctors didn't know how to treat. Nurses. We were clueless because they were doing the cleanup and they were doing all that stuff. And it's not like anything we'd ever seen before. We didn't, really know how to treat some of the stuff. I mean, we had, and then we were having briefings every week of don't talk to the press, don't do this. And it was a little bit insane. We're kind of like, okay, well, we're not going to talk to the press anyway, but they had to put it out there because I guess there were some, concerns, and journalists were trying to dig into it and find out what was going on.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, to hear you say that you're trained for one thing, and then you go into a situation where you are faced with things that you weren't trained for,
right.
You have to adapt that training to the situation at hand.
Right.
I commend you and I applaud you for that. And also the thing that goes into my head is to say, after being in that situation and seeing what I've seen and doing what I have done, I want to make my life out of this. I want
Right.
to, talk with other veterans and have them share their stories. Now,
Mhm.
your background is not in journalism and
No,
publishing.
not at all.
And what did you study and where and what is your first career?
Well, after the military, I pretty much kind of became a modern hippie. I really just went where the wind took me. I went through floral design school. I served as a lead designer for a Christmas tree decorating company. I went to the Texas Peace Officer Academy. I mean, it sounds a little unstable maybe, but I did a lot. And then I ended up going through the Texas Peace Officer Academy. Didn't really want to be in law enforcement per se, but I had some connections back in San Diego. And so I was hired as the security coordinator at a pharmaceutical company. So I took that training, went into the corporate world, and did corporate security for about 6 years.
So you had a variety of background interests and involvements and all, which when you take them and you put them in a blender, they end up to what you're doing today, because you can draw upon some of those past cross experiences to do what you're doing today.
Right.
So where did the idea come from that, I want to publish a magazine?
Well, I had worked, when I had moved to Denton County from Wichita Falls, I had lived in Wichita Falls for about 20 years. And when I had moved from there, it was like kind of a reset, just a new place, new time, new people. So I really got into building up my own business, which was web design, graphic design, that kind of thing. And then I moved to a little town called Pilot Point, where my mother was living. I wanted to be closer to her. And my business was going pretty good, but I needed to supplement my income. So I got a job at the local newspaper, which I fell in love with. Now, don't get me wrong, the editor, my boss, he was a Scrooge, and a McScrooge like nothing, but he knew his business. And so knowing, probably because of my military background, I just like, okay, keep your head down and just learn everything you can, because he was very, very good at what he did. So I kept my head down, learned what I could, met a friend of mine who was doing ad sales at the time there. And later on down the road, we had the opportunity to start a magazine. Well, with me kind of as the creative end and her as the marketing end. And then there was another gentleman involved. I took the leap and went that direction. That project didn't pan out, but my friend and I ended up starting our own publication company, and Mac Publishing and Media Group. And we ended up doing a small community magazine. And so that's what we did. And then when we went to, we did that for about a year. But the idea was we were going to duplicate this throughout communities in the North Texas area. And that just kind of didn't really pan out. And I was looking for something a little bit more, with a little bit more growth. So last year, I was actually, long story longer, I was in the hospital. I had complete abdominal reconstructive surgery, so it was pretty major. During COVID, no visitors whatsoever. Wow. And I was laying there, it gives you a lot of time to think. What am I doing? What do I really want to do? What do I love?
Going. Yeah.
How can I turn that into my driving force? So I love publishing. I love laying out, designing, writing, doing all that stuff. And I understand the publishing business fairly well. So laying there, I'm like, okay, what if I start my own publishing company? And what is the first publication I'd want to do? Because it does no good to start a publishing company without a plan to.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So
I start a publishing company, but I got to find something to put on those pages.
Right. And my passion, my biggest passion besides, the publishing world is veterans. I love my vets. And so I thought, we'll do a veterans magazine. And it was going to, and it was interesting because during that time, I don't know if you remember this, but the Blue Angels were flying over hospitals. And I was literally in the hospital and had I would say bird's eye. I had a perfect view of the Blue Angel formation as they passed by. And I was just like, okay, yeah, confirmation, we're doing this. And I got home, I talked to my mom. I live with my mom because she's a little bit older. And I talked to her and I said, if I jump off this ledge, it's going to take 2 years to really get established. And she's like, do it. I'm like, okay, let's go. So then, being the grown-up that I am, I went to my partners at Mac Media and I said, listen, this really isn't my shtick. I really want to go into my own direction and start a veterans magazine. They were incredibly supportive. So, and we're still friends.
It could have gone the other way.
It could have gone easily, but we're both like, she's very much about pursuing dreams and pursuing passions, and so it was an easy transition. So I left Mac and started Devil Dog Publishing and Addie's was originally a county magazine, and then I kind of grew it to be regional, and but I wasn't getting the traction. People were nervous about spending ad dollars with an unknown publisher and an unknown publication. So I I was getting a lot of requests from across the country to go national. So I took the month of December and I really dug deep and, redid my business models. And actually, as it turns out, a subscription magazine is going to make a much more successful company. So in the long term. So I took the leap off that ledge again and went national. And by March, we had a published magazine.
And you've got basically 3 issues are out now with the 4th issue. The fall issue, I think you said was going to be released around Labor Day.
Yes. We go to print next week, and it comes the first week of September.
And trust me, folks, go to the website and peruse the issues a little bit. Get a subscription because it's really great reading. But it's such a broad variety of articles.
Yes,
that's it's not just what I did in the Army or what I did in the Navy. It's everything from veterans who have become recording artists. The first issue that you had featured, I forget her name, the woman from World War II, I think.
World War II in Korea, Captain Janita Bonham.
Yeah, I mean, these are articles about just everyday people. It's not your George Pattons and it's the everyday people who served that had stories to tell. Some of them will tug at your heartstrings. Others are really uplifting and on the lighter side. That's what makes the whole publication, I think, so interesting. Is I'm a fan of good news.
Yeah.
We are surrounded by political news and what I call downer news almost every day. It's really nice to read articles that are just completely out of the envelope.
And not political.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, there are some opinions and articles coming up, but for the most part, we're pretty much apolitical because we really want just people to, we want their hearts to be touched. We want their, we want them to laugh. We just want them to enjoy it and just get away from so much constant negativity.
And we know that veterans talk to other veterans. And because of that, I think that's where your stage comes to play, is as they talk to each other, somebody says, hey, you should put that in print.
Right.
And there's Christine out there saying, "Hey, submit it to me."
Right.
If somebody is interested in telling their story, they have an interesting story. They can just reach you through the website or a call and
Yep.
say, "Hey, look, I served here at this time, and I got a great story about this."
Yep.
And what are the parameters? Are you looking for 1,000 words, or what? Any
It
kind of
depends.
direction?
We have a twofold system. So we have staff writers that actually interview people and write the stories, and then we have contributing writers who write their own stories.
Okay.
And so contributing writers, they can submit their stories. Right now, we're working on spring and summer of 22. We're pretty much locked in for our winter edition already. So as long as they can be patient and to get their story out there, we will. So I read through them, and I try to determine when the best season would be to share their story, because some seasons are, obviously, if it's, this happened to me over the holidays when I was in Iraq. Well, obviously, that's something we want to put in the winter edition.
Right.
So, the publisher and me wants to plan that out. But, yeah, we want to hear the stories. And, going back to Captain Janita Bonham, she is my great aunt. And she is the
Oh,
only living female to receive the Distinguished Flying Cross during the Korean War. And that was a big deal. And what's interesting is I didn't know her story. I didn't know her story until about 2018, 2019. I had no idea about this family history. I had never heard her story, never knew about this. And I thought, why don't I know about this? And then I got in touch with her daughter, because I said, I really want to write a story about her. And, so her daughter and I worked together. And so we basically undid all the misinformation that was put out there during the 50s when she was being written about so much. And we clarified it. And then we put in a few little Easter eggs that only family knows. So, but yeah, so we kind of clarified that story so that it's actually a true and correct story now.
and what you say, I think, is really the foundation for what you are doing. Every family that has veterans in it, they've probably heard a story or two, and they may have thought, you should put that in print, or somebody should write an article about what you did.
Right.
That makes for a great story, and the story is always there. Like you said, if they send you a story today that's about what they did in Iraq during the holidays, well, it may be too late for this year's holiday issue, but the story is still the same. The
Yeah.
story is still the story. And so
And it's still going to get out there.
if you archive it until the holiday issue that comes out in 2022, the story is still the same.
Right. And that's the exact reason I started this magazine. There are too many, I realize we have lost an entire generation of warriors and heroes, and we don't know their stories. We don't know all their stories. And I thought, now we're getting into the Vietnam vets. They're starting to get up in age, my parents' age. So I'm like, no, we have to tell their stories.
Like me.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a
We have to
Vietnam
tell their
veteran,
story.
and I think the general opinion is, the Vietnam veterans were they came back a bunch of druggies and everything, and a lot of them are sleeping underneath bridges, or they were baby killers, and they were warmongers and went off to war.
Right.
They don't know some of the stories.
No.
I mean, I have shared my stories of my service in Vietnam. I was an ammunition officer, and all. But one of my little backstories, and it might pop up in your magazine one of these days, was
absolutely will.
I studied broadcasting when I was in college. I wanted to do that in the Army, but the Army had other ideas. They decided to make me an ammunition officer.
Right.
But when I served, in the 3rd Ordnance Battalion in South Vietnam, I had a big boom box in my office, and my sergeant and I wired the roof so that we could broadcast over an FM band to our battalion. We talked about news from home. When a soldier's wife said we just had a baby boy, we announced that. We played music of the day and all. So I did for almost 9 months. I had a pirate radio station.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, I come back home, and a couple of years later, I go to the movies and I see Robin Williams playing Adrian Cronauer in Good Morning Vietnam, and I said, "Wait a minute, that's kind of my story."
Right.
And I did that, and Adrian Cronauer got the the benefit of it.
The kudos, right?
But those are some of those backstories that I hear when I go to military meetings, and that's why those stories can become stories that Christine Walker can add to the At Ease magazine. And
exactly.
So if you have any of those stories, or you have a nephew or a grandson or whatever that served and has some great stories,
connect us.
We're always in touch with her.
These stories too. We do like to lighten the load a little bit, because we do have serious stories and we do have heavy stories, but we also like to lighten the load. We have a great writer. He's hilarious. He is a retired Marine Corps captain, and he wasn't in Vietnam, but he trained the guys going to Vietnam in the late 60s, early 70s. And so he was like in Taiwan and other places like that. But the stories he tells and the way he tells them are hilarious. And then, his name is Paul Sullivan, phenomenal, from Massachusetts, East Coaster, hilarious. And then we also have another guy, Tony, who wrote a book and is allowing us to take excerpts from his book every issue and put it in the magazine. And they are more like post 9/11 Iraq, Afghanistan stories, but they are freaking hilarious. And of course, as a veteran magazine, we're there's a lot of interesting stories, but we're also sometimes unfiltered. So try not to be offended too much.
Right.
Veterans really aren't. We just aren't. So, but we tell the stories. We don't sugarcoat. So, whatever their story is, that's how we tell it. And, we love it. I mean, so far we've gotten phenomenal feedback from veterans and readers.
Yeah, and you do have certain features every month. I know you have features for female veterans.
Yes.
Girls in Grit, I think is one of the featured articles. The one I love is the DD 214 and beyond.
Yes. Christina is phenomenal. She was actually my mentor with Texas Veterans Commission, and I was able to wrangle her into writing the DD 214 and beyond section. So every issue, she's going into different things. Sometimes it'll be an entrepreneur story or a veteranpreneur story. Sometimes it'll be, here's some resources, getting back. This issue coming up is about, getting back to work after the, COVID stuff and everything being shut down, finding new jobs, the resources for vets, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to have her on board. She's a phenomenal lady.
And I think we should remind those that are listening and watching that this is not just a Texas magazine. This is a national magazine that if you are a veteran anywhere in this country, or know a veteran anywhere in this country that has stories to tell, this is a great platform for them to share their stories and get themselves published. Because once they get published, that can be a springboard to what they do.
Exactly.
It's and so the fact that you have a choice, you can either get it digitally by an e-subscription, or you can get that physical subscription, which I encourage you to do, because as I say, I think it's something that should be right on your coffee table, so that, sometimes when you're fed up with the news that's on the TV, you pick up the magazine and read an article about a veteran. But so you are distributing already nationwide.
Yes, we are. We have subscribers in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Florida, Minnesota, Colorado, California. We have subscribers all over the country now. In fact, we have just in our second quarter, not to get too much into the business stuff, but we have a reach of almost 10,000 across 8 platforms.
And you're not even a year old.
No. And we have a readership with our flip book, which is actually on the Addie's website, a readership combined with our print and subscribers and digital of almost, it's probably 4,000 now. And so, yeah, we're getting up there quick. And so this is our print issue.
Yeah.
It is extremely high end. It is not, I don't know if you can hear, it is not your cheap magazine at all. My printer uses Kodak paper, Kodak ink. They do a phenomenal job printing. It is, in fact, a coffee table magazine. And our summer edition had 52 pages. And our fall issue will have 56.
Well, you threw out some numbers. You said you're reaching in the thousands.
Mm-hmm.
So a follow-up question to be with me is, if I have a business and I want to promote that business to thousands of veterans that are going to be veterans, yes, and others that are reading this magazine, there are advertising opportunities.
Absolutely.
For the magazine.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we really do more like sponsorships. So we have, and they're, sorry, people ask me, oh, well, you were in the Navy, but I know more about the Marine Corps than I do the Navy. So I kind of did my sponsorships kind of kitschy. And so we have a private level, which is just basically a quarter-page ad for $230 a quarter. I wanted to make it extremely affordable for veteran and small businesses who have like a national online business. I wanted to make it affordable because I know marketing is expensive. But the cool thing about print marketing is it is forever. It's not like you're competing against hundreds of thousands of legitimate and illegitimate companies, for that digital real estate. When you're in print, that is your real estate forever. So I want to encourage small businesses and veteran businesses to advertise with us. And we still have room for a few more before we go to print next week. So if anybody's interested, we have, if you go to the advertise tab on the Addie's magazine, the addiesmagazine.com, you'll see our media kit and our prices, our sponsorship levels, and everything else.
Yeah, in fact, I think there's even a button on your website where you can download the media kit, so you have all the information that you can look over. And also, I would remind, if you are, let's say you're a banker or a realtor or whatever, and you're working with relocations of people all over the country, keep in mind that if you're working for a company, I'm just going to throw a name, Remax, out there.
Right.
If you're working for Remax and you are an agent, that can help people nationwide, sometimes Remax will underwrite all or part of that ad cost,
right,
and all to participate in it. And you put your tagline. Christine just puts down your local agent for Remax is, and it's got your name and your phone number and your contact information.
Yep.
That's good advertising, and good use of your advertising dollars is to use that co-op allowance that the company you work for offers to you. So check that out also.
Insurance agents, and one of our sponsors is Geico, and she's local here in Texas, but she really believed in this magazine and wanted to sponsor. So we did not say no. And the fact that she's licensed in multiple states is awesome, because other people can contact her. And that's the great thing about sponsorships, as you go up in the sponsorship level, you get things like custom QR codes that are directed to your media. That's one thing about our magazine, trying to bring in all the, because veterans, we're a big, broad demographic between, the older vets, Vietnam, I guess I'm considered older now, Desert Storm, to our post 9/11 vets. And, so we wanted to make the magazine interactive. So we put custom QR codes in our stories, with advertising, that kind of thing. Takes you straight to a website, a video, whatever it is, whatever media you want. As you go up, you get to sponsor certain content for our magazine. So not only do you have your little logo at the end of that article saying that you sponsored that content, it's also a little banner that's on our e-magazine as well, our digital version. So we got that.
You and I probably share a common personality, and that is that wherever I go and wherever I meet people, I'm always listening a little bit to what they do, where they've been, what their life is all about. And then I say to them, by the way, here's my card. I do a talk show, and I think I'd like to have you as a guest on my talk show.
Right.
You probably travel wherever you travel, and you meet people and you find out they're a veteran and they've got a story, and you say, hey,
Yep.
I need an article from you, or
Right.
I need to have one of my staff writers get in touch with you for an article.
Right.
So is your mind always programmed in the on position?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, all of my friends are vets, between my American Legion post that I'm a part of. I serve as the public relations officer there. Obviously that stands to reason, but, I'm always, my ear is always to the ground. And what I find interesting, I'll meet a vet. It doesn't matter if it's male or female. And I'll be like, oh, I want to tell your story. Or, oh, are you a writer? Can you write? Do you want to contribute your story? And they're like, I don't really have a story to tell. I'm like, oh, contraire. Everybody has a story to tell. I mean, for me, I don't think I have a story to tell. I was a little E2 stationed at a Marine Corps base at the Naval Hospital, boring, but for others, it's not boring. So everybody has a story to tell.
Well, you saw that maybe as boring, but what you said earlier was that I was trained to do this, but
Yeah.
what my eyes saw was something different. And I
Right.
didn't just say, oh, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I wasn't trained that way.
Right.
You took that training that you did have and you adapted it to
Right.
what was it. That's the story.
Right.
And
Well,
for those people that say to you, well, I have a story, but I'm not a writer. Is that you have a staff? You said you have a staff of writers, and then
I
you
have
can
staff
have
writers.
somebody contact them and take it from
Yep.
there.
Yeah, actually, I have a really great, phenomenal group of staff writers. Judy Skilling, she owns a coaching business, but she is a hospital corpsman like myself. She was stationed in England and overseas, and she has a phenomenal story herself. And then my head writer and my assistant editor right now, she actually grew up in Russia. Her father was an American contractor in Russia. So she grew up in Russia. She got to see firsthand certain things. And so she is an ardent patriot. She loves this country so much. And so and not only that, she has a master's degree in English. So she works at a college, and that's what she does all day. She edits papers of, English, students. And then my newest writer is Mike Saunders, and he's an Army vet, lives in Massachusetts, but went to college for publishing and, journalism, loves the idea. So I'm really trying to groom him into becoming, he's got some family obligations, but, at some point when we get big enough, I'm trying to get him to Texas. So, and, he's a phenomenal writer too. So we're we're all doing really well. They're great writers. They, most of us are vets, so we get it. When we tell the story, we tell the whole story. Whatever
Well,
you give us, that's what we write.
And you are still in your infancy, so I think that as we go forward, there may be other opportunities for either people who do have a talent for writing. Maybe
Yes.
they would like to write articles for you, either as a staff writer or in the business, it's called a stringer. Somebody that just likes to write and writes an article and submits it to the magazine for publication.
Well, right now we have, just in this next issue, we've got 18 contributing writers.
18?
18 contributing writers.
Wow.
Poetry, different articles we're doing. I'm always looking for contributing writers. Funny stories, sad stories, I don't care. Historical, I love those who can research and do historical. I love military history.
Yeah, that's one of your regular features in each magazine.
Yeah, we try to have a military history article in every issue.
Folks, 18 contributing writers for a publication that's had 3 issues out already, and the 4th one is coming.
Right. And
pat yourself on the back, Christine.
Well, we are so excited because we're excited because people are excited. And they're doing a phenomenal job getting the word out. And you know what makes us a little different, because there are other veteran magazines out there, by the way. But what makes us different is we are in publishing, most publications are 50, 60, 40, which means they're 60% advertising, 40% content, or 50% advertising, 40% content.
Right.
We're actually, another leap. I'm good at jumping off cliffs. Should have been paratrooper. We actually swung it around and we're the opposite. We are 70% content, 30% ads, and we will only ever be 30% ads. So this issue going to print next week is 56 pages. We have 30 articles. And I'm really excited about one of them. I actually interviewed, and I need to get you in touch with him. He's a retired NYPD detective, Frank DeMasi. He was part of the emergency service unit on 9/11, and he was the second truck on the scene when the first tower was hit. So I am telling his story.
That to me is worth the price of that issue alone. I encourage everybody watching and listening, check out the website first and say, you know what, this really does sound like a very, very interesting magazine. I'd like to get it. Either the digital copy of it or get the hard copy of it, which I encourage you, $25 a year.
Yep. And the reason I was just meeting with a marketing guy and business coach. He goes, Christine, he goes, your magazine is way too, he goes, you're an expensive magazine. He goes, you need to be charging $50, even $60 a year. I said, I can't do it. I won't do it. And he goes, why? He goes, if you want to do a senior discount. I said, here's the thing. I've got hundreds and thousands of vets who aren't seniors, who are disabled, who are on. There's no way I'm going to charge more than $25 for this magazine.
Exactly.
A year.
Well, don't stop doing what you're doing, because you're doing it well, and you're coming up on your first anniversary. Yep. Pretty
well,
soon.
The exciting part too is once we're in print and we've got all 4 issues, I am sending those issues to the Library of Congress. So every year we will be sending our issues to the Library of Congress as a permanent record of these military stories.
How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
And for somebody who had a vision just a few years ago and turned it into the At Ease magazine,
right?
Check it out, folks. And Christine, can't thank you enough for sharing your
Thank
story,
you, sir, for having
sharing
me.
your
It's been great.
magazine and all. And I look forward to all of the great things that I'm sure that you have coming as we go forward.
Well, just, if people will subscribe, that would help us a lot. If you want to advertise, we still have some room in this issue coming out in the fall. So hit me up really quick and we can get that taken care of for you. Again, Stuart, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. And that'll do it for another episode of Someone You Should Know. Great to have Christine Walker with us. Be sure and check in with us again next week at the same time. As I always say, go out and be yourself because everyone else is taken. That'll do it for this edition. And I look forward to seeing you right here again, same time next week. Go out and make it a good day.